Ladies and gentlemen, through these portals past the world's greatest bowlers. So we proudly present today's finalists in the $325,000 General Tire Tournament of Champions. Steve Jaros is trying to win his third title of his career. Pete Weber is trying to rebound from last week's second place finish and capture his second Tournament of Champions title. Randy Pedersen has his sights set on his second Triple Crown jewel. Norm Duke could become the first player to crack the $200,000 barrier this year with a win. Forkel carries the banner for the lefties in his attempt to capture his second major. That's our field in today's General Tire Tournament of Champions. Riviera Lanes is dressed up for the big party, bowling's premier event, being staged in the Fairlawn, Ohio area for 30 consecutive years. We welcome General Tire to our fold as they are our sponsors. And I'm Chris Schenkel, delighted that all of you have joined us for this wonderful event. 5 great champions, you'll see a lot of action, which my colleague has provided over the years in his 17 championships. Here is Nelson Burton Jr. Bo.
Thank you, Chris. I enjoyed that opening and you enjoy the action today. And this is the premier event in the Professional Bowling Tour. And really, it's the easiest and the toughest to win. It's the easiest because it's the smallest field. It's the toughest because they're all champion. The players know all the lanes here. They come here year after year. And finally, nobody gives up in this tournament because everybody cashes. Now, the rewards are very simple. $65,000 on top, the biggest in professional bowling. Number 2, it's a ticket to the Hall of Fame. You win this tournament, you're in just about. And finally, I think the most important, it's like the Masters in golf. If you win this tournament, you receive a lifetime invitation to this tournament, Chris, and I think that's really what the players are shooting for. I'm ready for the action.
All right, and from the $325,000 purse, $65,000 to the winner and a custom-designed trophy. Second is 35, third is 26, fourth is 19, and fifth is 13. And we're ready now for the first match, head-to-head between Steve Jaros of Illinois and from Missouri, the great Pete Weber. Game number 1. Championship pair gleaming. So are the bowling balls. Especially this gold one that Steve Jaros now puts his fingers into. 28 years old, 2 championships. And now Pete Weber, the 31-year-old that wasn't even born when we started this series in 1962. He's won 21 titles. He's ready on his second sweep of the Triple Crown.
Pete Weber with that kind of patented profile, but he's made a big change this year. I think he's really improved his game. His backswing used to be straight up here, and I just know you won't last a long time in professional bowling, and yet what he has to do is get it a little shorter as he's quickly up for the spare.
Well, it was a straight line to that 10-pin to mark with a spare in his first frame. Representatives of all phases of the bowling world, other proprietors where we've had telecasts this year, manufacturers, bowling officials, and Pete Weber. Crossover, leading the 3.
Pretty evenly matched championship here. You see Pete Weber playing that patented big hook, sends it out to the right-hand edge, gets a good break as he breaks up the 310 baby split, simple spare.
Stuck a little bit at the line. But he is marked now with 2 spares, whereas Steve Jaros of Bolingbrook, Illinois, his best finish this year was 8th in the Quaker State. It's his second Tournament of Champions, his first telecast of 1994, overall his 5th TV appearance. So he has doubled. 1 on each side of the head pin.
Well, you see the four-step delivery of Steve Jaros, very deliberate, a low-maintenance swing. He's up here in a very simple position, shoulder high with his swing, and he gets a terrific break on this particular shot as he pulls it left of target, crosses over to the 1-2 pocket, and he has an 11-pin lead after 2 frames.
Leaving a 7-pin. His 2 victories, both Choice Hotel Classic events.
The head pin goes to the sideboard and mixes between the 2, 4, 5, and 7 and doesn't quite take out the 7. Steve Jaros with a spare will have a 10-pin lead.
So the rollerblading, well, not the rollerblader when not bowling, takes a rest, and Pete Weber now looking for his first strike in this first match, frame 3.
You can see that deep inside line he's playing on the approach, the extreme left.
All right, there it is. And look at Kim. And a win today would help Pete Weber toward a bowling first. He would almost own the PBA's only double Triple Crown.
Well, it would mean to me that I'm one step closer to completing the Triple Crown twice, give me 2 Tournament of Champions victories, along with my 2 U.S. Open victories and 1 National. Look out next year at the Nationals.
All right. He has 2 United States Open titles.
Well, he's got to get by this first match, Chris, and looks like he's struggling a little bit on the left-hand lane. He sends it wide, almost leaves the 2, 4, 8, 10 as a 6 just chops the 10 out at the last moment. A tough spare here in the 4th.
He's normally a very fast bowler, but his tempo has picked up some, I notice, here in this first match. Tournament of Champions sponsor General Tire. Late host to last year's champ, George Branham III. George learned a lot. Here he listens to a researcher analyze tire performance and response. Full house here at Riviera Lanes, which has been redone. I mean, refurbished, beautified for the 30th Tournament of Champions. Steve Jaros leading by 10, spare up. First split of this TFC.
Boy, you could almost see that coming in the 2nd frame as Jaros went right across the left side of the head pin, and this time he cuts right through the middle. He has 4-7. All he can do is hit in the 4-7 zone. He doesn't have the ball speed even to bounce it out, so he's just going to go for the count and keep the match close.
All right, it's an open frame that changes the situation. Steve Jaros tells what a win here would mean. Nothing but success for his future.
Well, winning something as prestigious as a General would give me my first major, and that would be such a thrill. That would definitely give me a big stepping stone as to getting back here full-time again, which is something that I'm looking forward to doing.
Trailing by 4. Bo, what bad luck back-to-back. You come up with a 7-10.
I agree, Chris. That was a pretty good shot. He plays it a little bit lighter, and he gets the wall shot 7-10. He's quickly up on the approach, just going for the 10-pin, and that's all he can do. He's going to be trailing by at least 15 pins with this spare.
All right. Started out with a double, marked with a spare, and then back-to-back open frames. Pete Weber, known to jump on errors, takes a 15-pin lead, spare working, shooting in the 5th frame, first game. Broke up the 7-10.
Shot very similar to what Steve Jaros had in the 5th frame. The head pin goes to the sideboard. As you see Pete going very wide, doesn't quite get back to the 1-3 pocket. Takes out the left side, but avoids the 7-10 split.
A little while ago, we mentioned last year's champion George Branham III at the General Tire plant. He finished 48th this year, winning $2,050. He last year, you may remember, defeated Parker Bone III, 227 to 214 for the TFC title. Now this.
The 2-8-10. He was flirting with that shot before when he left the 2-4-8 in the previous frame over there. Watch the ball going just way too wide and goes too far down the lane. Takes the sharp break, but he needed another 2 feet. He's in trouble.
So we are all even now after a 15-pin lead. Pete Weber in an open frame in the 6th. Getting a breath of fresh air now, Steve Jaros. Another opportunity presented right here.
Well, the averages for the players on this pair, you see Jaros average 237, Weber 232. They're nowhere near that today. The pressure is taking over at this point.
Oh, there is his mother, Helen, having come in from Illinois just this morning to watch her only child perform.
Once again, the head pin does the big damage over in the left-hand corner. Watch the 7 pin, the last pin remaining. It gets twisted among the 4 and the 8, and this still takes out the 7. On tough conditions like this, Chris, it actually favors Steve Jaros. He has less experience than Weber, but with a actually shorter backswing, he has a very good chance to keep it in play.
Oh, 2 and sleeper 8.
Well, what's happened for both players is the oil or conditioner has been carried down the lane from the front part. It's usually heavier on the front part. They practice for an hour. It carried down past their break point. Now when they give it room, it hangs out wide for the 2 pin. We saw that last week in Toronto. We're once again seeing it again this week. Oh, that was ugly.
Too much bowling ball, huh?
Well, you're right, Chris. You have to trust the spares. Steve Jaros throws a very slow shot, and he doesn't even touch either the 2 or the 8. Trails by 14.
All right, 14 pins separate them. We're near Cleveland, and as you may know, Cleveland is home to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Canton, of course, the National Football Hall of Fame. Well, now, the National Inventors Hall of Fame has come to Akron. Adventure Place opens its doors in July of next year. 31-year-old Pete Weber, one of the 3 Triple Crown champions, ready to shoot, leading by 14. 7th frame. That's more of the Pete Weber shot. Celebrating 25 years in the Tournament of Champions, the 2nd Triple Crown winner, Johnny Petraglia. Here he is.
Thank you, Chris. Hi, buddy.
Hi, buddy. What's up?
Well, hey, if you win $65,000 in the general today, and since you don't have any kids and you're a friend of my son, will you pay half the bill?
Sure, John, because if I win today, I'll be rich like you.
He's ready to get rich, Chris. Back to you.
Randy Pedersen. No scouts in the building, and we have a 7-10, and Pete laughs. Nervous laugh.
Once again, we see the 7-10. Mark Roth made this in 1980. Pete Weber would just like to get one of these pins right now to stay ahead in the match. Pete won't even go for it. He'll just try to knock the 10 out. There you go. The 1 pin was more important than trying to make the 2 because the 1 pin allows him to stay 2 pins ahead in the match. If he had missed both pins, the match had been even. Pretty smart shot by Peter. Once again, we see under pressure a tournament important game going to the 9th and 10th frames. Low scoring, but somebody has to win.
High hit. Here in this match, we've had 5 open frames. It's the first one of the afternoon. The winner will meet Randy Pedersen, then on to Norm Duke, and then our tournament leader is Eric Forkel.
The players were expecting this ball to hold right here. As they were practicing before they went on the championship round, the ball would set up right there. Right now it's breaking high. When they give it room, it will not come back.
You know, tonight, we invite you to catch a special episode of America's Funniest Home Videos on a special night and time. Then William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy star in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. The Saturday night movie starts at 8:30, 7:30 Central, right after videos tonight, right here on ABC.
Just 2 pins separate this opening match. General Tire Tournament of Champions, 9th frame.
Hanging on the channel, the ball hooking in, leaving the 7.
Well, you could tell by Steve Jaros' reaction. He knew he threw that very well and got a really bad break as he left the solid 7. During the tournament week, the lanes were a little tougher in the morning and scored better at night, but we can't wait till night, boys. Got to start hitting them right now. Look out. Inexcusable.
Sixth open frame of the first game.
You're talking to a man who has about a man who has the lowest game ever rolled in the championship round. Steve Jaros bowled a 129 in the Brunswick Memorial a few years back, and right now he has opened the door for Pete Weber, as Pete's only going at a 172 pace, but that could be enough to win the match. Here we go, ninth frame.
High hit, 3-6-10.
All right, let's project for Pete Weber. Although he's struggling, highlight. Jaros has opened the door a number of times. It's a matter of Pete to step in and close that door on him. He needs his 2 marks to lock up this match.
Randy Pedersen of Hollywood, Florida waits for the winner. Now Pete Weber polishing that orange sphere.
Pete needs 17 pins here in the 10th. In other words, 7 spare strike to lock out Jaros, or Jaros could still throw 3 strikes and win. Here we go, 10th frame. Oh my goodness, Chris, let's look at this scoreboard. There's actually strategy involved. Pete Weber, if he goes for the spare and gets 9, can lock out Jaros. You see Pete going wide here and leaves the 210. However, if he just goes for the single pin and gets 9, 159, he will force Jaros to double. I would go for the 1 pin. Don't shoot for the split.
Right.
He gave it a 50-50 shot. A very smart move. Jaros needs 2 strikes.
Something even less attractive was the low score here this week. I won't say who did it. 123.
All right, for Steve Jaros, he's struggled the whole match. He needs 2 strikes and 2 pins. Obviously, the hardest thing is the strikes. He hasn't been close on this lane. Not to be. Pete Weber is going to win the opening match of the General Tire Tournament of Champions with 159. The best Jaros can do is 158.
A low 159 as this ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Weber against Pedersen. Right back again at Riviera Lanes in Fairlawn, Ohio, Tournament of Champions. Pete Weber with 2 strikes defeats Steve Jaros with 4 strikes, 159 to 158. And here we go. Randy Pedersen steps in. Oh, before we do that, let's hear from the man who won that Triple Crown and bowled a 300 this year, Moneybags, Johnny Petraglia.
Thank you, Chris. George, you're the past champion of this tournament, winning last year. Has it changed your life any? How has it affected you this year that just passed?
I think I dress a little sharper now. I want a little bit more money, so I got a little bit more style. No, not really. I get recognized a little bit more outside of bowling, the public life. That's about it.
I don't know, George. I think you're a pretty sharp dresser. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, still in shock over the 159, 158. Here we go with Randy Pedersen. Randy's taller of the 2. Very humorous guy. He had a 17-7 match game record, while Weber had a 14-10. Well, now, Nelson Burton Jr., our expert.
Well, I'll tell you some statistics, Chris. That was the lowest scoring championship or match we've ever had in the Tournament of Champions, and the lowest, second lowest in all time is Randy Pedersen gets another ball for the spare, leaves the 4-9 on what was apparently a good hit, but he's going to try to slide that 4 into the 9, hangs up in the thumb hole. He's going to open with 8 pins. And Chris, that other match that was the lowest of all times was Dennis Jakes versus Sam Zurich, 1983, Windsor, Ontario. I don't want to see any more of that. Let's pick up the action, guys.
Right, come on. Again, the 7-10 broken up.
Well, that was such unusual pin action. In an apparent good hit, Pete, watch this. Watch the left side. The 4-7 should not even be in the picture. Watch his ball hit light. He actually has a 4-7-10 split. Unusual.
Ooh, stay up there, he says. And it did. For Pedersen, an open frame for Weber. A spare. Second game. Winner to meet Norm Duke.
The only redeeming factor about these first frames bowled by both these players, they were in the pocket. Weber and Jaros both could not find the 1-3 in the opening match.
In his 69th television appearance, Pete Weber marks with a strike in the second frame. Second frame now for Randy Pedersen.
Randy with a very high maintenance game. He's an excellent athlete, 5-step delivery, and he has that real high backswing, and he shortened it some recently too, as you see him come down way above his shoulder, and ideally as he gets a little bit older, get that down to shoulder level. Weber has worked on that. He's gone from that perpendicular to the approach to lower angle, and it's helped his game.
And a PBA national champion named Randy Pedersen has doubled after opening in the first frame. Things are looking up. Let's see if Weber now can equal it.
Well, the first person who looks like he knows what he's doing out there, Randy Pedersen, throws the ball in the pocket in the first frame, gets a split, but follows with a double.
Tomorrow here on ABC, the Stanley Cup playoffs continue as the New York Islanders host the Rangers, or Dallas meets St. Louis. Live coverage begins at 1 Eastern, 12 noon Central and Pacific. Then on a special edition of ABC's Wide World of Sports, top male and female gymnasts go for gold in continuing coverage of the World Gymnastics Championships. All tomorrow right here on ABC Sports. And now Pete Weber has strung 3. Native to this area, gray blue herons have nested in the Cuyahoga River Valley for years. They arrive in March, and then they hatch in midsummer. Hundreds of people comfortable inside Riviera lanes for the 30th Tournament of Champions. Our host and sponsor of the event, General Tire. Now let's go to Johnny Petraglio.
Thank you, Chris. Norm, you've had a tremendous winter, and winning the General would almost solidify Bowler of the Year. Do you start thinking about it this early in the season?
Well, I've been thinking about it since the first week we bowled, and certainly I've been thinking about, boy, if you could win the General, then there's nobody going to catch you.
He's ready to win, Chris.
I believe it. Now this man has 4 in a row. Randy Pedersen.
Well, Randy just shredded the rack there in the 4th frame, then comes up in the 5th frame on the left-hand lane, pulls the ball a little bit, and it sets in the pocket. That's what he was looking for. It looks like both players are locked in and ready to go. Pete with that high backswing and obviously light body weight, 135 pounds, gets off balance. See him off there, and he falls off to the right. If he could have just posted that shot, he may have had it set up. Gets off balance, leaves the 3-6.
Pete Weber, a 7 handicapper in golf, as is Randy Pedersen. Right here, they're even. A 4.
Pete, ball change with a lower surface friction for more control. Cross lane, knocks it in. Randy Pedersen has that liquid type game. He must let it flow. It's all coordination. He's a tall man, 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he has to let it be very smooth and solid.
Randy was third in the true values. We look at his bride, Becky Pedersen, owns a hair salon called Headliners. Her husband owns a bowling pro shop in Hollywood, Florida.
Sitting with Becky the other night, she just absolutely could not stand to watch Randy bowl. She says it makes us way too nervous. Right now, this is the big bucks. This is the second game. The General Tire Tournament champions. Randy has an 11-pin lead.
Their first game, if you just joined us, Steve Jaros met Pete Weber. In a low-scoring game, 159 to 158 was the score.
An apparent good hit by Randy Pedersen, the 6, low around the 10. A solid 10 spare here in the 7th. He'll carry a 10-pin lead against Pete Weber.
And Steve Jaros, in losing that first match, took home a check for $13,000. The winner will get $65 today. This is the 10th innovation here this year at Riviera Lanes. Products from bowling manufacturers and plenty of General Tires. The Millionaires Club. We're looking at your tournament leader, left-hander Eric Forkel, Chatsworth, California. Loose and happy, good position, waiting for the winner of this game and the next one, where Norm Duke will be the challenger. Seventh frame strike for Pete Weber.
The difference between the average pro and the top player is the ability to adjust, and Pete Weber has made 3 adjustments from the first game that's helping his game. 1, he's pushing the ball out farther in his push away. Number 2, he's shortened his backswing, and number 3, he changed balls to one that hooks a little bit less. He can make the match even with a strike here in the 8th.
Big double coming near the end of the second game.
That's up to Randy Pedersen to stay with him. 3 frames left. They're all even.
Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, USA, Shannon Miller has done it again. See her gold medal winning performance in the women's all-around. It is the first time ever an American has successfully defended her all-around title. From Australia, it's the World Gymnastics Championships, and we'll also have an interview with Michael Moore, the new WBA IBF heavyweight champ who defeated Evander Holyfield last night in Las Vegas by a majority decision. Next on ABC.
Well, in a key frame, Randy Pedersen lets the ball get away from him. He gets left of target. He had been sending it out about the 4th board. There he hits almost the 2nd arrow, crosses over, breaks down the 5-9, leaves a simple 5-pin with a spare. The match would be even, but the advantage would be to Weber. Look out, Randy. You know, Chris, I've only seen that happen twice on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Missed the 5-pin, and it happened both times here in the Tournament Champions. Amleto Monicelli missed 2 years ago in the championship match. He missed a 5-pin, and here Randy Pedersen misses one in a crucial frame to open the door for Weber, who can really jump in and take command with a strike here.
Left to 10.
All right, let's take the possibilities. A spare, strike, spare. Pete Weber's at 226. The best Randy Pedersen can do if he recovers from that 9th frame miscue is 225. So Weber can take the match with a spare and a strike.
Pete Weber looking at the score sheet overhead to the bowler's right. Meanwhile, Becky Pedersen distraught. Randy trying to comprehend, but you never do.
Strike, spare, Weber wins. Anything less, Pedersen has a chance. Look at Randy's got to be thinking a bunch of things. He says, if I had only made the 5-pin, I'd have it locked. And now Weber has to look at the scoreboard. He sends it out wide, but not wide enough. It cuts right through the heart. Leaves the 3, 4, 6, 7, 10. He's got to go for it. All the way to the right of the 3 pins. Try to slide it over into the 4-7 zone. Throws it in the gutter.
Oh, yes.
What a diametrical turn of events, Chris, here at the end.
Oh, Nelson, someone in the crowd hollered after that first shot. What caused that?
Well, what caused this is a tremendous mistake of Weber trying to should have gotten at least 3 pins. Now Randy Pedersen just needs a spare and 2 to lock it up. What a wild match. That's live.
The change of emotions. It went from the Pedersens to the Webers.
This is the weirdest thing, partner, I've seen in the 20 years I've sat up here with you in this tournament.
They got 33.
How about...
Oh, I haven't seen anything like this.
Well, the 158, 159 in the first game, and then this tremendous turn of events where nobody can do anything at the end. Randy Pedersen's a winner.
And he, of course, will go against Norman Duke. He'll be in the 220s. First game, remember, was 159 to 158, won by Pete Weber. And then late, a lead, and then a couple of big misses, and this man takes over. All but one, 224 to Pete Weber's 206. And Norman Duke will step in. This week, Choice Hotels Tip of the Week spotlights 2-time Tournament of Champions winner Dave Davis.
ABC Sports presents a winning never gets old bowling tip, brought to you by Quality, Comfort, Clarion, and Sleep Hotels.
With me is 18-time PBA champion with 4 major titles, and now on the senior tour, Dave Davis. Dave, what have you done over the years to maintain that tremendously powerful backswing?
Well, Bo, 20 years ago, when we were a lot thinner, I did a lot of things differently. Used to hold the ball much lower, went down with the swing on the push away, went down toward the floor, pulled it into the backswing, kept the body up, and long knee bend in through the shot, long extension out onto the lane. 20 years later, when the muscles aren't quite as flexible as they were, hold the ball a little bit higher, switch from 4 steps to 5 steps. Still the long sweeping swing, but more out. Now long, down through, great knee bend, and out onto the lane once again.
Real good, Dave. Let's look at that again. What Dave has done to enhance the strong parts of his game, even as he's gotten older. First, he holds the ball up higher in the setup position. Dave has switched from 4 steps to 5 steps. The combination of these two has allowed him to maintain the exact same arm swing he had in his younger days. And finally, he hits that foul line nice and strong, so Dave, you're still a winner. And all of us know that never gets old.
Nelson Burton TV, you're looking at the final scores of our 2 games. First, 159-58, 224 with 8 strikes. Randy Pedersen over Pete Weber. Now it's Pedersen and Duke. His entrepreneurial skills started the PBA many, many years ago. Eddie Elias and his wife, Peggy. Great friends.
The field this week, Chris, 53 players, just average scores, a kind of a grind out. A shot makers tournament is only 212 to make the top 24. Here's some of the other players that finished. Remember, they all cashed, all 53. Brian Goebel, 14 tournaments, 14 cashes this year. And Leto, a solid year. David Ozio's gone fishing. Butch Sofer, our buddy here, had a great year. Another Tournament of Champions champion, Ferraro in there. Brian Voss, Justin Romick, U.S. Open. Steve Fields, his first tournament. Steve Hoskins, the Quaker State champion. The King, Ron Williams. Bob Benoit, another Quaker State champion. Harry Sullins requalified. Robert Lawrence, U.S. Open. Chris Warren, the Texan. Marshall Holman, number 2 all-time. And David Houston round out the top 24. And Chris, be seeing you pretty soon next year.
That's right, at the AC Delco Classic Cal Bowl, Lakewood, California. All right. Our handshake now for the semifinal game. From Edmond, Oklahoma, a native Texan, 5'5", 123 dynamo named Norm Duke.
put all he had into that shot. You could see him grimace as he let go of it, and he goes a little bit high on the left lane. That's the same kind of shot that Randy Pedersen opened with. However, Randy left the 9-pin with the 4, failed to convert. Norm Duke, who's sticking with the same ball for strikes and spares, which I think is a good idea, has no problem at all.
Norm Duke, leading money winner this year with $149,000, 3 victories. Randy Pedersen, whose first title was the AC Delco in Union City, California.
Perspiration on your hands, something we all have to watch about, and basically the ball slides off his hands. He doesn't get the lift, the fingers rotating under the ball, leaves the 1, 2, 4, 6, 10, like we call the Pro Bowlers Tour washout, kind of a tough shot.
So it's an open for Randy Pedersen. Well, the tournament leader will bowl the winner of this game. Maybe that left side will be a little more on the kind side.
Well, I think they're getting lined up, Chris. As you saw that through 48 games, Randy Pedersen was never lower than 4th. And it's just a matter of holding on the ball and making good shots now.
Like that. Why not?
Here's Norm Duke making sure he's going to hold on to the ball, sticking a piece of tape in the thumb hole. Duke uses the full grip and a very tight thumb hole. He holds that ball in the palm of his hand. You don't hold the ball with your fingers or your thumb. That's how a smaller player like this can get away with being such a power player, and then let that wrist snap through the shot.
So the man born in Mount Pleasant, Texas, east of Dallas, leaves a 10-pin.
Well, he has a 6.5-step delivery all the way the line. And watch how on balance he is. Now drive it all the way through. Here we come. Now watch how solid he is at the line. Low underneath the ball. Follow throughs inside out. Just doesn't get the kick on the 10-pin. This guy is the hottest thing on tour right now.
Youngest player to ever win on the tour. 1983, age 18, he won the Cleveland Open at Buckeye Lanes.
All right, on the right-hand lane, the players are trying to play right around the second arrow, and I think Norm Duke's going to try about the same type of shot on the left-hand lane. He's going to start in this area right here, slide in this area right here, and try to play kind of a big hook out around the second arrow. Let's see his starting position. Watch the inside-out swing. Here we go.
There's Karen, his wife.
Norm Duke with a shot he has to be happy with. He didn't get the desired result of a strike. However, he's around the pocket and he's zeroed on the pair, and that's the key. He knows he can throw strikes. He can make a slight adjustment, and if he makes this spare, he will continue to lead by 11. As you can see, game 1, just 5 splits and 5 strikes. Game 2, the strikes picked up and the splits went down.
Okay. So there you see the money leaders. We indicated that Duke had 149.
And Petraglia with that perfect game this year. Walter Ray solid all year on. Brian Goebel and Justin Romack, 2 of the great stars on the tour. And look at the high averages so far this year. Norm Duke, who's in the semifinal match, is the #2 player, trailing Deadeye Walter Ray Williams Jr. This match speaks for itself. Randy trailing by 1 can take the lead in the 4th with a strike.
Two and a sleeper 8.
Randy has 9 national victories, as you see him sliding by with the 2-8, Chris, and a spare that Steve Jaros did whiff them both on in the first match. And 9 victories is nice, but 10 is important for Randy. If you become a 10-time winner on the PBA Tour, as you look at Duke putting some more tape in that ball, you don't have to bowl full-time to stay eligible out here. So it's important for him to win this.
Oh, yes. This is our semifinal match. We'll be back with more. The Cuyahoga River Valley has some man-made structures that are user-friendly to joggers, to bikers, and walkers on a warm day. Nelson Burton and I have the best view in the establishment. We saw how close that came to the channel.
Uncharacteristic of Norm Duke as he struggles with his grip. I had very seldom ever see him off balance. He fell slightly off balance, but actually he was really so in balance as he let go of it. He didn't fall down, gets the ball wide, leaves the solid 10. He's having trouble with the thumb hole feel. He gets it too tight as you see him using the full approach. He hangs in it too loose, he drops it.
All right, once again we bring in the pride and joy of the PBA, former president, John Petraglia.
Thank you, Chris. Eric, the last month and a half for you has been phenomenal. Now I have one of the best coaches in the business, and so do you. Is there anything he told you over the last month that's really helped you out a lot?
Well, Johnny, when my coach, Len Mal, came out to the U.S. Open, he gave me quite a few good pointers, and we worked on it real hard, and it's really carried over all the way to this tournament, so things are going real well.
Congratulations in the last match, Eric. Chris, Bo?
Okay, of course, Johnny was talking about Fred Borden, and there was a beautiful strike by Dynamo.
And Len Mal is the coach for our tournament leader, Eric Forkel.
Now, like the heavyweight type of action we expected here today, we're getting a little counter-punching going on here in the semifinal match. Close one.
You're right, Chris. The pairs settle down as you see Norm Duke working the rosin. Both players are relaxed, and Randy Pedersen throws his finest shot of the day here on the right-hand lane. Let's see if he can retake the lead here on the left with a double.
Big double, Nelson.
Well, the ball didn't feel just right for Randy, so he just stepped back. A good move. Norm Duke quickly up on the approach, trying to force his opponent to bowl quickly.
Psyching going on down there between these two masters of it.
Duke has two types of shots, and he can play the big hook on a lane like this, or he can come down and play straight down the line on the left-hand lane. Right now, he's going to play a hook down the left-hand lane to take a big lead.
All right. He has 3 in a row now. You know, last year's Tournament of Champion winner, George Branham III, took a tour yesterday of the Gardens and Stan Hewitt Hall, a National Historic Landmark located in Akron. Talented Mike Connor, proud he should be of his work as commissioner of the PBA. He's seated alongside his wife, Patty, in their hometown of Akron, Ohio. We're in a suburb, beautiful suburb of Fairlawn.
Randy Pedersen, trailing by 12, has 2 strikes working, can cut the lead of Dukes to 2.
3-6-10.
Randy not liking that shot. He's throwing an errant shot in the first frame on this lane, and then he went strike in the third, strike in the fifth, and then he pulls the ball inside a target, cuts through the center, avoids the split by knocking down the left side pins, but has the 3-6-10. You know, we've talked so often over the years, Chris, about the idea of switching balls to make spares, and sometimes it's a good idea when the lanes are completely out of control and hooking too much. However, these players seem to have pretty good control of the lanes with their first ball. By switching, we've seen them miss a lot of spares today. They have to rethink that idea, especially in critical situations.
He wanted that in the earlier frame.
Randy Pedersen, fighting his spare ball, not coming off his hand properly, has opened the door for Duke, who has played with his ball all game long, seems to have figured out what to do in the 5th frame, can take a commanding lead.
However,
well, we saw Randy Pedersen leave the 3-6-10 on this lane and break down the 7. Doesn't happen for Norm Duke. Duke has to get the ball over here in the 3-6 zone right here and have that 3-pin take out the 7. He'll go for it. Tough shot. have to have a ruling here, Chris. He's stuck on the line. His left foot did not go over. His right foot apparently went over. Let's see what happens. All right, here, let's see if we can watch it. He does not foul with his left foot. He lets it go. His right foot hits the ground, and now he has fouled with his right foot. The only other time I ever saw that happen was in the Tums Classic about 10 years ago to Bob Hanley. It eventually cost him the tournament. Right now, a foul has been called on Duke, and he only leads by 5, and he's shaken up.
A shaky 10-pin on the left lane.
That's the worst shot I've seen by Norm Duke all winter long right there. Not the split shot that he fouled on, but that particular shot that went left of the head pin. He has to regain his composure. He has a 5-pin lead as Karen is wondering what is happening here. The big bucks today and a lot of strange happenings.
And his family back in Mount Pleasant, Texas, the Guns and the Mattingleys, are really wondering. This is a Mr. Consistent type bowler.
Randy Pedersen has to grab a hold of this right now. He trails by 5. He can retake the lead here in 9th frame, semifinal game. Well,
Eric Forkel waits. The tournament leader.
He waits and salivates, that's for sure. What he has to do is get the ball over here in this zone and try to drive that 2-pin over into the 10. Wow.
Could be worth some money later on today.
Well, that's a good point, Chris, because if he doesn't make this split, the game is just about over. He stays in the game with the conversion, this 2-4-10 there in the 9th frame. And right now, with 2 strikes, he would be in the 200 zone and force Duke to double. It's anybody's match.
Didn't come up. 2-8.
Now, the match is not over. Randy Pedersen must make this spare and get a decent count to force Norm Duke to mark in the 10th. Mandatory that he make this spare.
Next Saturday, ABC Sports begins at 1, 12 noon Central with a legendary matchup. 2 of golf's all-time greats go head-to-head. It's Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. Then the PGA's best tee-off in Texas as we begin coverage of the Shell Houston Open all next Saturday. Just as you saw that shot on ABC, the golf will be ABC as well. Oh, goodness.
All right, for Norm Duke, he's in an ideal situation right now. He needs a mark to win the match. 186 for Randy Pedersen. Norm Duke needs a mark.
Norm Duke, 3 victories this year. His goal, player of the year. Pressure on.
Well, Duke got the strike, needs just 1 pin. That's as simple as it comes. He can throw it down the middle, stay behind the foul line, which I'm sure he won't foul on this one. It's going to be Duke and Forkel for all the wheat. That's a winner.
That's them all. Norm Duke has won the semifinal match, and this man has to be content with the lesser check today. Disappointed, exhausted.
But a great winner for Randy Pedersen. He didn't come away with a win, but he bowled super, the winner of 94.
$26,000. Duke and Forkel will bowl for $100,000 in the next match. This ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after these messages and a word from our ABC. Well, the scores varied, didn't they? First 3 games, especially number 1. 159-158. Second game, 224-206. Now with 6 strikes, Norm Duke, even with a foul, has defeated Randy Pedersen 205-186. Left-hander and a right-hander in the final game where they're bowling for $100,000. I'd put more value than that on our technical and production crew. Here we have an opportunity to salute our teammates. Bo and I are so proud of every name you see there with pictures. Jack O'Hara, back home, our executive producer, our producer always, Carol Letty. Larry Cam is our director. Mike Carmen, well, he's the technical director, and Bo, he's tough. Russell Brooks and Vince DiDario. Steve Shunk has helped us so much, from car pickups to, well, you name it, and our audio men. They put all the good filters on to make us sound good. There's Tom Gatewood, our floor manager, and Frank Esposito. More audio geniuses. Cameraman, second to none. Ask anybody in the business. Artie Beckel. He's our lighting director. Those that don't get a lot of credit but help all of us tremendously. Special thanks to the Professional Bowlers Association, to Kevin Shippey, Dave Schroeder, Johnny Campos, Steve Gross. Let's applaud him here in the house. In memory of a dear friend, Murray Schwartz. $100,000, 65 the winner, 35 runner-up. Norm Duke, like his opponent, has not won the Tournament of Champions.
This is the big one. The players have only averaged 189 today. That will not win this match.
A little message sent by Duke to Forkel. Forkel, in that January earthquake, missed the first 5 weeks of the tour, laceration on his left foot. Well, looks to me like there's a powerful ball from the left side, Bo.
You bet it, Chris. It was. He just absolutely sawed the rack. You watch Eric Forkel, who is just the best practicer we have on the tour. And the key for him is to keep that arm swing in line with the target. He did it so well then, and he just absolutely shreds the left side of that rack. What a terrific start for the championship game. This man has won one major, the PBA National Championship in Toledo. Goes through the middle of the rack, and he had a potential of leaving the 4-7, 6-10. He gets a good break as the 3-pin pushes out the 6-10 on the right-hand side, leaves the 4-7, switches balls, has to try to avoid the chop.
All right, for Eric Forkel, our tournament leader, striking a spare. Norm Duke in his second game. The very last moment, our scout came over and got the 10.
Well, Duke catches it all. This is probably the best ball he's actually released off his hand. You see the 5-pin being driven straight back. The scout, the head pin, comes back and takes out the 10. But he should have had a strike on that hit. It was an excellent shot. The players are going to be even after 2 frames. Kristen, just following up on the bowling of Duke, 2 things. He bowled excellent in that semifinal game, but he had that one disastrous frame where he got a 5-pin split and missed it. And really it was by perspiration on the approach. He asked an official to clean the approach off before the championship game, which he has a right to do. If there's any foreign material on the approach, he has done that. He should have no trouble in this game. As we can see, after 2 frames, the match is even.
Again, checking the approach, the surface at the line on the opposite lane.
Well, Duke just makes a bad arm swing there. He takes the ball outside, then pulls it back inside, crosses over, gets the little unconscious competence there as the 3-pin trips out the 610. That's fine for Forkel, but not too good for a right-hander.
It's close. 10-pin.
You can see his fiancée,
Wendy Wilson. Oh, it's Tricia Flanagan.
Eric Forkel, that extreme outside line, gets excellent pin action. Didn't get the break as the 5 went over by the 10. Spare here. He'll trail by 1 through 3.
Well, we're clean thus far, marking in each of the frames, but we've had 13 open frames thus far in the Tournament Champions, where the pressure is greatest because it is the premier event in all of bowling.
I agree, Chris, and for 2 things. One, obviously the prestige of the tournament, but the irony of big strike bowlers like we have on the tour succumbing to missing too many spares. Open frames will kill you, especially in match play. Both these players are clean through 3.
Yes, we have another split.
For a left-hander, the 310 baby split is about twice as easy as it is for a right-hander, because all he has to do is take that big left-handed hook and get it over in the 3-pin zone and let the ball deflect right into the 10. With the big hook, it's much easier than hooking away from it. Right now, if Eric Forkel converts this, he'll trail by 3.
I think he shook his head. Pin's moved a little bit. Tournament leader as the first open frame of a championship match. We're in Fairlawn, Ohio. And you know, General Tire's first Tournament of Champions has a new look trophy. Custom design surrounded by the antiquities in the dining room at Stan Hewitt Hall. Mary Hensley of MH Consulting did it. Lead crystal, solid marble base, a brass plate. This is Norm Duke on the approach and ready. Leading by 14 pins, can increase it to 24. Cranks it into the pocket. Okay, let's go down to Johnny Petraglia again.
Thanks, Chris. Randy, in the 8th and 9th frame, the ball seemed to skate on you. Did you get caught in transition, or was it something else?
Well, the lanes are a little tricky, and I made an adjustment, my field shot in the 10th frame against Petey, and I thought I had the lane wired, and, you know, I threw one to the right and never hooked back, and I got one up the lane and went high, so they were just real tricky for me. I didn't make a good shot when I needed to, 10th frame.
Well, sorry, Randy. This is a real class hit, Chris. Back to you.
You bet. You bet.
And Duke, where he could have taken a commanding lead here in the championship game, sends one wide, as Randy just spoke about, and leaves the 2-7-8 split. The idea here is to get the ball over near the 2-pin, let the 2 drive into the 7, the ball take out the 8. It's makeable, a tough shot. See Duke, just absolute precision, accuracy, and power on this shot as he drives the 2 into the 7. The ball takes out the 8. He takes a commanding 21-pin lead into the 5th frame against our tournament leader, the only lefty to make the top 24, Eric Forkel.
2 titles, PBA National Championship, 92, and he won in Erie. Eric Forkel, 33 years old, 5'11", 180.
And the bowels of the bowling center, that's the pinwheel as the pins are being brought up, set in. There's actually 21 pins in a rack for a championship match. 10 are in the pin deck now, and 10 are sitting on the lane, 1 in reserve. Right now, Eric Forkel would like to knock down just the 10 standing, cut the lead to 11.
And Nelson, a remarkable year, 3rd TV appearance. He was 3rd in the United States Open, 5th in the PBA National Championship, and in the other part of the Triple Crown, completing it, he is the tournament leader in 1 year.
Has had an excellent season. That's been done 4 other times, Chris, but Forkel is hot this year. But no hotter than this man.
Boy, is he anxious for that Player of the Year honored. He has his goals I think we all should.
I agree. Interesting year by Norm Duke. He has won every tournament. He has made the top 24 this year except for one, and that was the True Value where he shot 280 and lost. If he had won that game, he could be 5 24s and 5 titles. The number 2 ranked bowler of the year, player this year on the PBA Tour behind Walter Ray Williams Jr. Lets it get away again, once again on the left-hand lane, leaves the 5-pin with the spare. He'll maintain his 11-pin lead.
We saw it missed earlier on this telecast. Well, he made sure.
Now the man that's the most practiced, I'd say, along with David Ozio out here in the Professional Bowlers Tour, the mechanical man, Eric Forkel, can cut the lead of Norm Dukes down to 1 pin here in the 7th with a strike. Championship game.
Yes! Come on! One more.
He's ready.
Come on.
My father asked me, who is it that said the more I practice, the luckier I get? I think that was Ben Hogan, but I have to credit some of that to Eric Forkel, who I believe has made himself a top professional bowler through dedication, training, and constant practice. And right now, he can take the lead in the biggest tournament of his life, 8th frame. He trails by 1.
Oh, no.
Oh, my land.
Unbelievable things have happened today. You can go through each game, and Eric Forkel would be 1 in 1,000 to let a ball leak off like this. He bumps his swing out, tries to keep it inside out, playing that critical outside line, never gets the lift, and it sails off in the moat about 35 feet down the lane. And this has opened the door. The match is not over, but he must collect his thoughts and make the spare. It's not unusual to throw one in the channel playing that extreme outside line, but this is an important spare shot right here, 8th frame.
Wow. Marking with a spare in the 8th frame.
Terrific recovery. Without that, he'd have just let Norm Duke walk into the title. Right now, Duke has gone from trailing by 10 to leading by 11. Duke, the number 2 ranked player in the world behind Walter Ray Williams Jr., had this comment about Walter Ray. Walter Ray is number 1, but number 1s are made to be beaten. And he's taking a giant step forward to catching up if he could win this tournament. Little tape action by Forkel. Right now, Duke could take a 21-pin lead, 9th frame. So close to disaster. That was almost the 2-8-10, then the 8-10, and the head pin wipes out both the 2 and 8. Watch this pin action, and I'll tell you, this is the difference between winning and losing sometimes. Watch this pin action. That was almost an impossible split, which would even the match.
All right.
Tournament leaders are 7 wins, 6 losses this year, 1994 on ABC television, and Eric Forkel would like to make it 8 and 6. However, it would behoove him to throw some strikes here as he trails by 11, 2 frames left on the winter tour.
Come on. Yes. Come on.
Ninth frame strike for Eric Forkel. 2 titles, 10 years, a PBA member.
Winner of this tournament, 5-year exemption on the PBA Tour, a lifetime invitation this tournament, and this man has never thrown a bigger shot in his whole career. He needs this strike. Disappointed. He could have really squeezed Norm Duke. He leaves the 3-6-7 split Does not quite get the lift, hangs onto the ball a little bit too long. It sails down the line, just almost missing the head pin. It's mandatory that he make this to have any chance to win. He has to go for it. Get the ball to the right of the 3-pin. It'll take out the 6, but the 3-pin must take out the 7. This is the tournament.
Excuse me, 184 for Eric Forkel. Final score.
Duke just needs 4 pins, stay behind the foul line on the first ball. He'll win his first major and 4th title of the year. He's the new champion right there.
And he has $65,000. He goes over the $200,000 mark. 35 to Eric Forkel. 3rd major competition this year for Eric. We'll be back. They're shouting Duke. First major championship for the man bowling out of Edmond, Oklahoma. You see the others and the way the money was distributed here in the General Tire Tournament of Champions. 217 to 184. We have tears of joy here. Alan O'Keen is president and CEO of General Tire. And here at Riviera Lanes, while we let you catch your breath, Alan, tell us a little bit about this trophy.
This trophy was designed by our graphic artist, Mary Helmsley, and it's a crystal piece with a tire, which I suspect is a General Tire in there.
No. It better be.
And within a crystal bowling ball, and a pin held up by a marble pin.
Beautifully done now. So was your game, young man, your first major. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. Thank you, Fairlawn. Boy, what a dream come true. What a cap off to a wonderful year. I'd like to thank the great people at General Tire for coming forth and stepping up for us. We appreciate them. Mike Durbin, all of his staff here at Riviera Lanes, who did a wonderful job all week, and I will be very, very happy to come back next year and defend my General Tire Tournament of Champions victory.
Okay, and Karen and you can visualize more of your dreams. You have gone over 200,000, but more important, you're on your way to Player of the Year. How about some money, Mr. O'Keen?
I was wondering when that was coming. Norm, you said that you had 3 objectives left. One was to win this tournament and to become Player of the Year and to be in the Hall of Fame. And I think you're well on your way to all those objectives. One of them's gone, and the other two are sure coming. This is a check for $65,000 for your efforts. Great game. It was an exciting tournament.
Okay, $65,000. A grateful Norm Duke and his wife, Karen. Thank you, General Tire. Alan O'Keen. We will see you next year, January 14th.
The Pro Bowlers Tour has been brought to you by General Tire. For over 75 years, General Tire's been making quality tires that you and your family can depend on. Brunswick, home of the Rhino Pro. And Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Coming up next, ABC's Wide World of Sports heads down under for gymnastics' biggest event of the year. See Shannon Miller's historic gold medal performance in the women's all-around. From Australia, it's the World Gymnastics Championships coming up next. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.